request from a viewer for Fisherman's Rib in slow motion. I'm happy to do it. Fisherman's Rib is really another way of working the brioche stitch, but I think everyone will agree it's easier to work than the brioche stitch. Still a few things. It's not the easiest stitch in the world, really only because it's really hard to rip back if you make a mistake, which is why you'll see in my work that I have proactive lifelines in there, and I'll give you a link if you click the little I to my video on proactive lifelines. I'll also put it in the video description field below if you're on mobile. It's difficult to rip back or to even tink back one stitch at a time in Fisherman's Rib, same with brioche. So we always put in proactive lifelines in case we make a mistake. That's probably the hardest part of it. It's not that difficult to work. It makes a thick, squishy, pretty stitch for sure, and it's worth it. And what I'm working on here is a hat. Fisherman's Rib is a 2-row pattern, whether you're working in the round or flat. The stitches are in a different combination with the two. If you click a little I to go to my website, also in the video description field, I'm trying to think of where I can put all these things, I will have the instructions for Fisherman's Rib flat and in the round, because the two stitches are a bit different. And I will give you a link to my Fisherman's Rib hat and scarf set, where I've worked out the yarn amounts and the crown decreases on the hat and everything. So there is a whole pattern that you can work, or you can just knit a scarf out of it. It's a nice squishy scarf, just casting on any number you like, using the needle size recommended on the yarn label. You don't have to have a pattern to knit a scarf. So I will list those out. The stitch combinations for flat and in the round, a little bit different, but the techniques used are the same. And on this piece, I am getting close to the end of my round. So I'm going to work what is round 1 for a few stitches, and then move my stitch marker and then work round 2 to show you how the knit one below, purl one below looks different in the stitch combination. Anyway, you're here to watch, right? So why don't I get down to it? Let's take a look.
Okay, you see those little red strings I just pointed out? Those are my lifelines. And these first stitches I'm going to show you are what is round 1 in Fisherman's Rib, which is knit 1 below, and just repeating that. So that was my knit 1. Now I'm going to take the tip of the needle and put it down into the V below the stitch on the needle, and then just wrap the needle and pull it through like a regular stitch. Now back to knit 1. And knit 1 below. So the needle goes right into the center of the V in the stitch below. A little scooching. Back to knit 1. And knit 1 below. Knit 1, and knit 1 below. Just those 2 stitches all the way around. Now I set this up so that we hit the stitch marker here, because now I'm going to work what is row 2 when you're knitting Fisherman's Rib in the round. So I'll slide that stitch marker over. And this time, this round, the pattern is purl 1 below, knit 1. I mentioned before it's different if you're knitting flat, but I will have that all in the video description field and on my website. So I'm going to approach this stitch from the back. I'm going into that same V that we did on the last round, but I'm coming at it from the back because I'm purling this time. And I didn't catch it the first time. Here we go. I don't normally knit over a table, and it makes wrapping purl stitches a little bit more difficult for me. Anyway, I'm going to pull that stitch through to the back and then off, and you'll see my finger pulled the yarn to the back because the next stitch is a knit one. Regular old knit one. Pull the yarn to the front again because I'm going to purl one below, right into the center of the V below the stitch. I'll get it, I'll get it. Wrap the needle and pull it through to the back. Yarn back. To knit one. Here we go, full speed. Knit one. There we go.
That's it. I love working this stitch. I love wearing this stitch. It's really warm, it's pretty, it's not that hard to work. You just gotta have those lifelines in there. Anyway, I hope this helps you understand working Fisherman's Rib a bit better. Good luck.